Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in today's topic, as you can read from the thumbnail and the title, that I'm going to discuss something very crucial when it comes to doing business in Canada. Now, in my career line as a business immigration lawyer, I meet so many people who want to have their own startups in Canada, even if they're outside of Canada, or they are students who have graduated from Canada and they want to use this kind of knowledge and being here, the fact that they're physically present in Canada, to open businesses in Canada, to open maybe it's a small startup, maybe it's just a running e-commerce business or anything like that. And I'm going to walk you through some of the key steps when it comes to opening a business in Canada, setting it up, what you should take, the ideas you can take, the kind of benefits you can get of this tech environment and the whole Canadian business environment. Because Canada right now, as I would say it in my experience, has a lot of potential to grow. Now, what I mean by this potential is that if you are new here in Canada, or you have even a small idea which you want to bring to Canada, or if you're outside of Canada and want to open a branch here in Canada of your running business, so there are some basic modules and basic planning which should be done in place. Forget about the immigration aspect of it, not to say that you don't need help of professionals, but just to guide you and walk you through the process is what I want to do today. I hope you like this video. Watch this video till the end, and if you like it, do subscribe to my channel, because I'm going to bring in more such insightful content of entrepreneurs as well as businesses in Canada, sharing all my insights, legal, non-legal, whatever I can with you guys. Now, number one step I would say is developing a business idea. And why I say is developing a business idea is just because when you have an idea in your mind, and if it's not put to paper, like you don't have a business plan, how you want to open the business, how you want to operate the business, no idea. I'm sure all the entrepreneurs listening to me out there know that till the time you don't pen it down, you don't have it right, but your thoughts are not straight, your market research is not enough, you have to do competitor analysis. Now let's take side by side, I'll also give you some local Canadian examples, brand examples, who are now big shots doing very well, and their name, as you will know, and you can research on them as well. They are specific case studies for every point that I will discuss. Now let's talk about Lululemon, one of the leading yoga apparel companies in Canada, outside Canada also. So it's a Vancouver-based company which identified the market gap after doing the market research that yoga apparel in Canada is apparently there is a very big gap and a scope of growth in this. So that's what they did. They got this company, and of course they opened the company, and Lululemon is such a big yoga apparel company now, with all the kind of counter products you can think of. So yeah, this is what a business idea can do to you. Business idea can be your starting point for anything. I'm not talking about the detailed business plans that you have to do specifically, because I do business plans in terms of immigration as well, what the immigration wants to see. But of course, the whole idea for today's video is not about just immigration. Also, in general, I want to give this information that what kind of business plans should be there. They should have proper market research, they should do market insight, they should have competitor analysis, they should have a financial reporting, like what kind of financial forecast, and yeah, so all these things are very important. So now, before we dive into the step-by-step process of this top video today, just understand before that the Canadian business environment. Now, how the Canadian business environment works depends on two things. First, is it a federal kind of a business that you want to open? That should be, even if it's a short-term or a long-term vision, in my experience, that is the first thing you should know. Is it a federal business that you want to open, or is it a provincial, territorial based kind of a business that you want to open? Location of the business is really going to matter, the kind of products you're going to deal with, the service you're going to deal with. So apparently understanding the whole business environment. For example, right now the number one industry in Canada is the biopharmaceutical industry. So there is so much going on when it comes to pharmaceutical industry, and life sciences, just because Canada wants to be on their own. Like Canada wants to have vaccination of its own, because Canada had imported a lot of vaccinations and it was reliant on other countries, right? So it was relying on other countries. So now what they have done is they have given so many grants to few businesses that I'm going to discuss maybe in my next vlogs. And if you want that, please put in the comment section of how much grant they are going to give to this industry, and industry wise we can discuss it. So yeah, so now for example, Vancouver as well as Toronto are the hubs of Canadian artificial intelligence setup, where the whole tech industry is coming in. Even Montreal, for that matter, is very upcoming in when it comes to tech industry. So where you're gonna be, how you're gonna be, is the first step of understanding the Canadian business environment. The next would be incorporation and what kind of business structure you're looking at. For example, if opening just a cafe, just a neighborhood cafe, I would go for a sole proprietorship if I'm the sole owner of the business. And if I have like partners with me, of course I will go into partnership. Now if I have a professional partnership, that's when I go into a limited liability partnership, when I feel that okay fine, my liability should only be to the extent where I sign, or where I am responsible as a lawyer or as a dentist or as a doctor or any kind of profession. So your liability, because you are insured here in Canada as a lawyer, I'm here insured in Canada, so insurances also work for professionals, hence it's a limited LLP, limited liability partnership. Then when it comes to maybe you see a slab rate of, you want to open a federal business and you say that your tax is going to reach to a point where you can say your HST billing and your revenue is going to cross 500,000 Canadian dollars. That is when the beneficial of opening an incorporation is, wherein you can put all the expenses and get the benefit of that expenses. A lot of people do that, as even if they are into the IT industry, they are contracting or anything, they can put expenses in their businesses, which is a very good way actually of saving your tax as well as saving your income indirectly, right? So therefore going more into your savings if need be. So it depends on the kind of business structure you're looking at. I can do a detailed video in terms of all the business structures. I can of course have a more expert on this speak on this topic, as it's more related to taxation. So yeah, but keeping in mind the overall, the macro topic for today, the type of business structure that you choose is very important when it comes to, I also want to come here and comment that if you are a person who's outside Canada, want to open a Canadian business, you can easily do an Ontario incorporation, except few provinces, Alberta, BC and Manitoba. You can have businesses across provinces wherein you don't need a local resident. So for example, in Ontario, if you want to open a business as a foreign resident, you can do it. You don't need a local resident. Whereas in the federal, you need to have percentage of Canadian permanent resident or citizen to be the resident director of your company. Now the very next step and the very important step is the registration of the business. Now you have decided the structure you want to go into, you have understood the legal implications of that structure. Now is the fourth step of registering your business. Now how do you register your business here in Canada? It might seem very easy to you when you go online, and I share all the links in the description box for you, wherein you can just have a basic guide of how the incorporation system works. But it's very important to look into the registration. When it comes to provincial territories, it's different. When it comes to federal, it's different. Of course, when you open federal, you have a complimentary registration of opening it in the same fees in Ontario, and hence you can do that. But yeah, the whole what you want to write in your articles, how you want to structure your business in terms of what are the voting shares, if it's an incorporation, what all you want to write there, just be out there on your articles. That is what you have to decide. And then it's very important to have a business number for any kind of business in Canada. So when you register, you also get a business number. The same business number will be turned when you get it done from the CRA. It can be into a payroll number as well, as so that you can keep employees higher and stuff. And also the same number would be your tax registration number, HST, GST, because of course it will depend on what your billing is, everything. So your registration will have those kind of tax number, will need that tax number as well. Now let's come to this. In the same topic, I want to highlight very important, and I'll tell you a very interesting case study here as well, and it's about the trademark registration and how important in Canada is to protect, even if it's a small e-commerce business or it's a small kind of setup, small business, or it's a big business. Dive into the branding of Tim Hortons. Now Tim Hortons, as you all know, very famous coffee shop across the globe, now even in India. And so it had its own fight when it came to a trademark registration, even though it was so well known. And because it was so well known, it was all the more the court had told Tim Hortons to protect its brand. But Tim Hortons had a very worse fight on which it won borderline, but it won the case, and again Tim Hortons, which is a South Korean company, got it registered as well as got started selling coffee, just pretending that it's this famous Canadian business, and they started this in South Korea. So now Tim Hortons of course lost the case, but because of Tim Hortons, a lot of brands learned that it is very important to get your trademark registered here in Canada. Tim Hortons was saved because of the simple reason that it was so well known that it surpassed the registration of Tim Hortons, which is usually not the case. Hence, trademark registration, another very important aspect. And I can again do a detailed video on it because it has just there's so much of information about it. And so it's very important when it comes to, especially if you're doing with any kind of idea, when it comes to brand identity. These days everything is about branding, right? So when it comes to brand identity, of course you should protect your brand, because it is you as the owner, the onus is on you. Now, even if it's an idea, if there's patent registration required, do it. Just, don't think about couple of thousands here and there. This is very important in the long run. Now let's come to the fifth point when it comes to running a business here in Canada. And many people are not looking at this option, but many people want this option, want to explore this option. For example, I had one immigration client of mine who landed in Canada, set up a bakery whom we wanted to, but he also wanted to apply for loan. Now when he opted for the loans from TD Bank, of course the Toronto Dominion Bank, of course they had granted him because he was a permanent resident coming here in Canada. And let me just later explain, each loan has its own eligibility criteria, but specifically they came and checked the machines and everything before granting the loan. So when the machine was installed, only then he was granted the loan. So the running capital was for him to invest. So these are the kind of different aspects of a loan also that you should know. For entrepreneurs in Canada, you can get a wide range of financing options such as loans, grants, investor funding, government programs. Basically, the key to successfully securing funding lies in thoroughly researching, understanding the eligibility requirements and application processes for each option. Additionally, you should leverage some kind of professional advice, maybe from a financial advisor, accountant, or a legal expert, significantly enhancing the chances of you obtaining the necessary fund to start and grow the business in Canada. Now, just touching upon some traditional banking loans are available, which are, just touching upon the fact that these are these are loans which are given based on line of credits. Be sure to check the interest rates. Of course, they can be varied depending on the business. Now, there are also companies like BDC which offer small business loan, which offer commercial real estate financing. If you are going to business purchase or transfer pricing, they have a different type of loan. There's also working capital financing, which can protect your cash flow. There's financing to tech companies. Of course, tech financing is huge. Then there are individual kind of investors here in Canada who can help you. Maybe like angel investors can help you. Rich individuals who want to just invest in your business, they can do it. There's also a program called Canada Small Business Financing Program. It's a government-backed program. It helps you understand the whole kind of loan that you can get up to 1 million, but you also have to show on what kind of things you want to get the loan on. It's basically for small businesses to obtain loan from financial institutions by sharing the risk with the lenders. So it's very important that you understand each loan's different kind of eligibility criteria, as well as interest rates, etc., whatever it may be. Then there's investor funding. As I explained, there is angel investor, there's venture capitalist, there is crowdfunding platform. A lot to do, for example, if you've heard of the company Element AI, which is a Montreal based company which was bought by Silicon Valley's an angel in a venture capitalist group for 260 million, but they had taken a Canadian based startup which was on artificial intelligence. But you can just refer to for the case study, that how they raised their seed funding to kind of 2-3 rounds of. You should also check out Clearco. It's a funding platform which has significantly changed the way Canadian startups are funding. Now, the next very important thing is that where is all of this going to happen? Obviously, you need a business location, which is primarily going to be your physical address of business. Even if you are not there or 24/7, you still need a place of business operations. So the business operations it depends on the kind of location, your product, where you want to run your operations for. If you are going to hire employees and the kind of employees you want to hire, then what kind of employee regulations are you looking at? Because employees and employers have a lot of employer laws are there here in Canada, which you have to adhere to, and which are obviously you have to be compliant to. Hence, what kind of location you're opening at. Now, let me give you an example of a Canadian based company called Artex. Artex is basically a high performance outdoor equipment and clothing company, especially dealing in winter gear. Now, because they know the kind of products they are going to deal with, it's a big company now. It opened its operation in North Vancouver. Now, why north of Vancouver? Because north of Vancouver, people really fond of going outdoors, just to take the benefit of that whole diversity there, that people love going outdoors, and Artex takes the benefit of doing that. So the business operations is in the hub of outdoor activities. Then, of course, comes the few final steps like the marketing and strategy. If you want to look into a Canadian business that has really used marketing strategy of being here in Canada, is Canada Goose. It's made in Canada, make of Canada. It's an apparel based brand which is really, really highly priced when it comes to a normal kind of a jacket. A normal jacket and a Canada Goose jacket there is a substantial difference of price, and mainly because it is Canada made, so it is really using that pivotal placement. So marketing strategy, how you market your product, what is your sales strategy, everything, it's so much dependent. For example, if today if you're not using social media for your marketing, it's again a very big question mark, because it is your biggest lead generation, it is your biggest there is brand loyalty that comes along with it. There are so many things just associated to social media nowadays, that somebody who's not using social media is actually losing a lot onto business. I feel, I could be wrong, but because a lot of people listening out to me would understand that if you are opening a business here in Canada and you don't know a lot of community, like in back home countries, you still have a lot of people from whom you can have word of mouth. But here you have to have a Google page, you have to have a business profile. You need to, because this is not your local community. This is not just gonna be like, okay, one day you come here, the other day you set up and everybody knows about it, the whole town is talking. Especially you need to realize that there's not a lot of population here. We are used to a lot of population, specifically from India. So we are used to that kind of life where one person talks and the other person spreads the word, and that's how it just goes on and on in a circle. But this is like the grandfather clause not applying to Canada. Definitely you need to have your online presence, and that should be your marketing strategy, number one marketing strategy. Of course, sales strategy is dependent on the different kind of product. Now, the last is how you grow your business. What is your strategy to grow? Now, a very good thing about launching a business here in Canada is the access to the North American market. Now, what you are also looking at, if your brand does or your company does well here in Canada, you can obviously have the neighbor next door to you, and you can set up your operation there, which has to be after a lot of strategy, deep analysis. Everywhere, where in the US also, it depends. But US is a very big market when it comes to all these kind of fashion brands, etc. The biggest market is US market. So we cannot underestimate the power of being a neighbor of US, the power of location of Canada. So it's very important how you want to grow and scale your business, specifically if you are strategically wanting to open your branch or an office there in US. Now let's look at a Canadian brand called Artesia. Artesia is a apparel brand. Apparently it started with one store in Vancouver. Basically it was a Vancouver based boutique shop which opened its office into US. Now the main thing about Artesia is that it maintained its quality. The whole store, the outlet, the designing, the positioning, everything was just like what in today's time people need. It's so minimalistic, it's so good that even I, really like shopping there. So yeah, I'm sure a lot of you. So yeah, it's just basically about how you want to place your brand, how you want to strategically position your brand. And RTC has one case study you can look into. Another case study of positioning and launching your business is Beyond Meat. Beyond Meat is again a Canadian based company which launched very nicely in terms of grocery stores everywhere it was available. And of the kind of product it was, of course, it to each one their own taste, but the launch was really something you can take, you can learn a lesson from of how launching a business helps in Canada. And in the end, I like to conclude today by saying that any kind of business or any kind of service you want to open here in Canada, perseverance, positioning, your whole adaptability to the environment, your planning, everything is gonna be it's just gonna be dependent on these four pillars. And of course you will face some labor shortages which you can work around. There are different ways to do that as well. You will face some other challenges, but that happens anywhere in the world. Wherever you're doing business, it's not a bed of roses, as you know. And yes, again, you have to look at the last case study that I want to tell you is the Blackberry's case study. The rise and fall of Blackberry has been just begun because it was not able to adapt itself to the market. So of course you have to be dynamic, and you have to be open-minded. You have to see Canada from a perspective of business. If you want to from a business perspective, forget anything about immigration. Even if it's a new land for you, even if you have been living here, whatever your circumstances may be, just know your target audience. And only then opening a brand, spending so much, even if you are spending few $1,000s, it's still a lot that you're going to do. Even if you are spending it from outside country, even if you have the money, but just to spend it wisely and to keep it on a sustainable model is very important. In my next YouTube vlogs, I will be discussing about a sample business which so there are many businesses and franchises for sale here in Canada. I'm going to do a detailed video on what you should be looking at when it comes to buying a business here in Canada. And I hope that helps. I hope this helped. Of all the case studies that I mentioned, I can do detailed sessions as well, and you can put it in the comment section. If there's any other topic that you would like me to vlog on, to put it there, because I'm going to read all of that data, and depending on the data, I'm going to make the YouTube videos. Thank you for watching. Signing off for today. Bye bye.